Happy Friday, boys. We are about to start our usual weekly TFL Talking Trucks live show. And as always, here I have Mr. Truck.
Hey, from the bunker.
And of course, Nathan Adlin.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. We have a big show lined up, lots of questions, lots of discussions, and we also have lots of rumors flying around, right?
Yeah, a lot of truck news today for sure.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of anchor the show on, I think, probably the juiciest piece of rumor that we saw this week, which is actually what's coming for the mid-size trucks from General Motors. This is once again unofficial information, right? But there's a couple of really reliable sources that has given insider information about this. So Nathan, what are we talking about here?
We're talking about the possibility of General Motors taking their mid-sized trucks and going from 3 different engine options to one new one. So right now they have a kind of wimpy 4-cylinder base model engine. They have their V6, and of course they have their baby Duramax diesel that Mr. Truck loves. But they're talking about getting rid of all of those and replacing them with their brand new 4-cylinder their brand new 4-cylinder turbocharged gas engine that they're currently using in the Chevy half-ton truck. This engine is fairly powerful. We've tested it before. And so the idea of them putting this engine into a mid-sized truck makes a lot of sense, but there's a lot of acrimony about the thought of getting rid of the diesel and the V6. So that's what the rumor essentially is.
What that is, that's a Ford fungus. That's a Ford to the Ranger. One engine, one transmission. That's all you need. That's it. And General Motors always had all those options. And I love that little baby Duramax. I mean, diesel guys. Come on, diesel guys are the biggest, most enthusiastic group there is out there. They love their trucks. And now they're going to lose another diesel. I mean, the Titan was bad enough, losing the Cummins V8. And I was almost bought one of those that had hail damage. I just couldn't do it at the right time. But man, they're going to lose the Cummins V8, going to lose the baby Duramax. What are the diesel guys going to do? I mean, they get excited about this stuff. And I'm surprised that they're not selling better than they do. There's something weird about that. But that's how that goes. Here's the problem. Let me tell you the problem. The problem is these guys run. Oh, he's pointing fingers at me. What? You don't hear my problem? Go ahead.
No. Hold on. Before you dig really deep into the problems. Deep. I wanted to adjust a couple of comments really quick, and also to say that today we have a double header live show. This has never happened before, and basically what's happening is that right after we end this live show about trucks, within the next about 50 minutes, within this hour, at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, Roman is joining another live show on this channel. So you would have to click to another live show, and that live show is packed with a lot of car knowledge. There's going to be Redline Reviews, Sofyan, there's going to be Alex Anatos, there's going to be Jason from Engineering Explained, and all those guys are going to be right there talking cars, but on this channel too.
That is correct. And we'll be announcing that once again at the end of this show.
Yeah, so that's huge. And there's also a few comments from Dan Atkinson, Chase Younggreen, a couple of other guys. By the way, thank you for joining us as always. That you guys didn't see this live show announced ahead of time. We apologize about that.
That's my bad too.
It's because we're using the new Zoom streaming service, and right now I don't have a way to schedule it and let you guys know in advance. But we should be able to fix it next week.
Right. And just think of it this way. Mondays, Fridays, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, both days, Mountain Time. We're going to be here.
Yep. And also, Tim Estradal is joining us. Hey, Tim. Thanks for joining.
Is that Tim? Big Timmy?
Yep.
Tim. All right. That's my buddy.
So, Mr. Truck, let's delve deep into the issues.
Okay, the issues, like I was saying, the diesel guys are so loyal to diesels, and they're a big, excitable group. And that's the problem. The marketing companies that are in these OEMs And the engineers, they're not really the big, you got to look hard. The ones that are having problems with their diesel sales right now are the ones that are not the big diesel enthusiasts. We need truck guys in there. Like Andre. Andre sleeps in his Hummer. He loves his truck. And that's what we got to have in these OEMs. They got to have the excitable guys like we used to have. A bunch of people happy about it. Pushing the Titan V8 Cummins, pushing this baby Duramax. The Duramax had exhaust brake, had integrated brake controller, had all the cool stuff. And it was an awesome little puppy. But that's what I'm going to miss, all that stuff going on. But that's coming to happen. But they're following Ford, one engine, one transmission in the midsize. But another thing, I said Dan's on there. Dan and Atkinson talked yesterday. We were talking about the Cummins, the new Cummins diesel coming out for the big boys. That's a skip fire, which now General Motors is talking about skip fire, about how they're going to, just like the dynamic fuel control they've had on their gas engine, putting that on diesels, the 3-liter and a 6.6, to where you can shut down so many cylinders. And what Dan there was talking about in semi, I mean, it might work good if you're bobtailing. Of course, that's Andre says Bobcat. Or if you're an empty truck, you could probably get by with a few less cylinders and save some fuel. So it might be the big deal. And we'll see how far GM goes with that. But I just wanted to mention that while Dan was there. But you remember the 6.4 Hemi and the heavy-duty Rams with that 8-speed, they could shut down half the cylinders when you're idling, running a winch off of a wrecker or something. So that stuff, Ford stayed away from it, but the rest of them all kind of embraced it, including the big boys. So that's coming.
Yeah, Mr. Truck, we have a donation here. Gordon Gaming, $2 donation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got Jorge. Jorge's the cousin. He was here from college. You can listen to Jorge get all excited. Quit. Appreciate that donation.
Thank you very much for the donation.
Gordon Gaming says 3.5 liter Ford Flex. I'm not sure what you're saying, but I think you like your Ford Flex. And it's Nathan's favorite car, actually.
Really?
No, but I will say this. In terms of what you're saying, I have a couple thoughts on that. We have to think about what the overhead is and what their return is from General Motors. Having 3 different engines currently available for a truck that's selling okay. I mean, the sales aren't bad, but they've dropped a little bit. And General Motors' way of fixing things is like, well, maybe we'll take some of the plastic out of the interior and replace it with some different plastic and we're good. They do that a lot, and you guys know it. The thing is, they need to have a higher profit margin on their trucks. They already have this brand new 4-cylinder engine that they've spent millions of dollars. You two bozos actually went and sampled that brand new engine right when it came out, and you talked to the engineers about this new power plant. Now, I did a little bit of research, and I have a theory, and I think it's a logical one, that they might try to go, once again, in Ford's wheelhouse and put in the 10-speed automatic transmission they're currently using in the Chevy Silverado. And the reason why is the dimensions for the automatic transmission housing are only within inches of each other between the one that's currently available in the Chevy Colorado on the diesel versus the one that's available in the Silverado. They're very, very close in size. So the idea of just kind of plug and play and saving a lot of money and getting rid of those old engines and putting this new one that gets good mileage, has a lot of horsepower, is competitive right out of the box with Ford. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, when we drove those out in Wyoming, Andre and I, that little 2.7 did really well. Of course, they compared it to the base model V6s. So with turbo is always going to win. But yeah, I'm just wondering too, this rocking my GM, was that 2.8, the baby Duramax in the full-size vans, the Savannah and that other one?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so that means that the van would lose their diesel too, I bet, because they're going to shut Thailand down, but whatever. That'd be bad.
That's a very good point. When the 2.8 liter in the big vans, and there's a question in the chat room about the big vans from GM, Express and the Savannah. I remember Nathan and I were prototype hunting in the mountains one day, and I believe we saw those prototypes, diesel vans, big ones, towing. This was like 2-3 years ago. And I emailed General Motors, their commercial division, and I said, hey guys, we want to test some of these vans. They're really cool. And they said, we'll get back to you. They were never in the press fleets. We never actually been able to kind of test those vans properly. So that's a shame. But we've tested, obviously the Colorado and the Canyons trucks up and down everywhere. which is a great engine.
Yeah.
And now, uh, so what's going on with the big vans on General Motors, right? So it's still the same chassis. It looks basically the same from when Mr. Chuck went to high school, right?
Yeah, back in the 1800s.
But you know, the 6-liter Vortec is going away.
Exactly.
Right?
That was where I was going to go with this.
Right?
6.6.
And now the 2.8 might go away.
So what we do know for sure is that they are replacing it with the 6.6 liter, the brand new V8 is going into the Savannah, and that they're going to pare down the choices of the Savannah in terms of trim packages, that they're making it as simple as possible. So wouldn't it make sense that you ditch the diesel that's not selling very well, once again? And there may be an emissions issue that we don't know about. There may be any number of minor legal issues inside General Motors that we're not aware of, which is pushing them to get rid of this power plant. They're one of the few car companies in the United States that I know of that have had a few 4-cylinder diesels that actually haven't been put in under investigation, as far as I know, at least recently.
Well,
So,
you know, that's so weird about GM too. The van, it had all-wheel drive for a while. They're full size. Now it's going to be diesel for a little while. Don't they ever keep anything very long so we can actually see how well it works and develop
not
the
if
market?
they don't sell, but that's General Motors for you. If they see that things are tapering off, they're really quick to kill it, and that's what I think they're doing. They look, if they don't see positive within X amount of time, boom, Mary Barra comes in with an axe and actually whack takes it down.
Oh, I remember the Quadrosphere had great hopes for the Quadrosphere.
So yeah, this is actually ties into a lot of good conversation here in the chat room because there's a question about that Ford recently announced a factory tune for their Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
And this is, I'm surprised by this. I mean, we know that the aftermarket does this already, right? And the 2.3 liter that the Ranger uses is related to the Mustang engine. And of course, there is also the high performance version of it that was also used in Focus RS and now the Mustang. But now they're saying, okay, from the factory, you can get like 45 more horsepower, like 60 more pound-feet of torque. And this is pretty crazy for, you know, this little engine. And this is factory backed, basically.
That's V8 territory, by the way. If you look at the numbers, it's insane, and I love it. I think it's a great idea. I'm thrilled that Ford is doing it, and I'm curious if this is a prelude to what we're going to see in the upcoming Ford Bronco.
Well, you know, it's interesting that the factories now are going to let you use a programmer. In the old days, way back when I was a kid, you put a cold air intake, you put anything, you put a programmer on it, they void your warranty. But now they're actually going to back it, which means they'll have their warranty on it. They want you to buy their programmer, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
Well, you know who was early to the game?
I think that Ford kit includes like an air intake, like a more high performance air intake system. And if I'm not forgetting, maybe even an update to the exhaust system. But that's turbocharged engines love this, right? Give them more air, you know, have a computer send a little bit more fuel. Boom, they can make huge power. We've seen it with, you know, 5-star tuning, you know, our friends over there in the East Coast. So it's really huge.
That's the way to do it too. You always want to do more air, more exhaust. So exhaust and cold air intake should always come with the programmer. That's the way to do it, you know, for the heat and everything else.
Yeah, and I think people saw this coming. I mean, well, this is not official yet, right? The 2.7 liter in the little trucks. But a lot of people have asked us, why not put this engine in there? So I think a lot of people were just seeing that need. And the other unofficial rumor here is that, so the chassis is going to be worldwide, global. So the new Colorado Canyon is going to be sharing more parts with the global trucks that GM sells around the world. Because currently, like the Australian Colorado has different kind of body components and other parts. So there might be more sharing. Hopefully that means, you know, better financial situation for GM. There's a question in the chat room about recent news that Ford is not doing too well in their financials. Nathan or Mr. Chuck, have you looked into this?
Well, guys, right now, everybody who is hoping to survive in this automotive market has to go into their war chest in order to keep the companies going. I guarantee you, you're going to see within this year some furloughs, layoffs, changes, marketing changes. It's going to be a condensed market. We all know this. And because of that, there's only so much they can do. Ford has huge resources, but bear in mind they're worldwide resources. So the way it's going to be working around the world, it's entirely possible that they may have to shut down a few places and they may have to push a few things in order to make them all connect. And remember, they had what, 4 major debuts that were supposed to come out this year, and we're not going to be seeing that many. Hopefully we'll see 2 or 3 if we're lucky. So they have a lot to worry about, but there's nothing official that has been reported by Ford stating that they're in serious trouble. I don't think we're going to see any bankruptcies this year. Next year, who knows?
Well, you know,
Yeah,
that's,
and I think they're preparing for their financial statements for Q1, so the first quarter, first 3 months of this year. And I think every General Motors, Ford, FCA, you know, all of them have to, you know, take care of that. They're publicly traded companies, right?
Right.
So they're going to come out with some reports. But like you're saying, the market is a little bit tough. But you just recently spoke, Nathan, to a car buyer, Mike, about the state of current kind of like car buying.
Yeah, actually I did. We just did a video, which is also on this channel. And what I did is I interviewed him. I've known Mike. We've all known Mike for a while. He used to be the president of the Rocky Mountain Press Association and Automotive Press Association. He's a great guy. He's been in the car buying business for a long time, and he's able to watch the trends, and he's been giving us advice just in general in terms of people asking, is now the right time to buy a car? So that's in that video. And one of the things that spurred this video was this urban legend about being able to buy a Silverado for the same price as a brand new Chevy Spark. Well, it's an urban legend, but there are some major deals out there as well, and some ridiculous financing numbers and months and all that stuff. So that's covered in the video. But the thing is that this indicates what's going on with the market. People are desperate to move product, get it off their lots. Ironically, if they do that, they're going to have a hard time refilling those lots. So there's going to be a lot of changes in terms of how you buy a car in the near future. Salesmen, that might be a thing of the past, which I personally don't mind. A lot of issues that may be, sorry, Mr. Truck, I know you were the best salesman ever. But the whole thing is that there are major changes coming. It's inevitable. It has to happen because of what's going on. But on top of that, there may be ways that the consumer can benefit from it. So once again, that's in that video, which just came out today.
well, you know, that's true. I mean, you're going to see them finance vehicles for like 12 years, like RVs. You're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff. 0 interest for 10 years or whatever it's going to be. They have to be getting rid of the lot. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. But, you know, back to Ford, back when they had the Great Recession, whatever, in 2008, they already borrowed all the money before that. They timed that really well, and that got them through that without having to file bankruptcy. And rumors I've heard from them now is that they've done the same kind of thing. When things got bad, they started getting finance put in place. But, you know, their stock has been the same for 20 years. I mean, it drops up and down 11.10, 11.10, 11.10. So they're not as attacked by the stock market as what GM is. But, you know, that, yeah, trucks, it's all going to change. We're going to be all buying them online. We'll all be wearing masks to go drive our cars. And that's what they're doing now. The ones in business, they're dropping the car off in a parking lot, maybe a restaurant, and you go get it, jump in it, drive it, and come back. And same way with, you know, vehicles I've been getting. They wipe everything down and they run off. And so I don't see anybody. There's my car, my truck magically in my yard. But, you know, it's all changing. So, yeah, it's finance is going to get weird because the banks still have to stay in business. So they're going to do some crazy stuff. And when they get 0 interest, that means somebody's giving them a rebate like the manufacturers. So, yeah, it's a whole new world. And, you know, it's someday it will end. But right now, everybody's adjusting. Everybody's trying to figure out how to keep everybody employed and everybody fed. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Choke the chicken.
Oh, the chicken.
Oh, we got chicken number 2.
Gordon Gabing, another $2. Thank you, Gordon, for your support.
And he's elaborating. He has a Ford Flex, which I know Andre fantasized about for a while because he always wanted a surf buggy.
Yes. I wanted to put wood paneling on it.
Oh yeah, that's the first EcoBoost I drove was a Ford Flex all the way up to Estes from Boulder in the old days.
Yeah, I was on that same event with you and with Roman.
Yeah, we pulled ski-doos or something at the lake.
That's exactly what we did. That was their first EcoBoost.
Oh, well, that's the first one I drove. I didn't know when it came out.
That was the first vehicle that it was produced in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, Mr. Truck, what's this news about? Can you say a little bit more about this rumor that the diesel engines from GM, they're going to try to implement the dynamic fuel management?
Yeah, and then the semis, like what I was talking to Dan about, was called the skip fire, but they should have so many cylinders. And so if you are cruising empty, driving through Kansas, you don't really need 8 cylinders pumping fuel. And, it sounds like Cummins is going to get that underway on it. I think, maybe it's not Cummins, it might be Detroit Diesel on the DT15. But anyway, one of those big boys are doing it. So, and GM, that's a rumor that they're going to start doing that too. And that may be the next phase up to get us better fuel mileage. Get us a 20-speed transmission and get us running on 2 cylinders to hook up to the trailer and then go full out in direct drive with all 8 cylinders. So that's the rumor that I heard, that they're looking into that. He's already got fuel management. They just put that system on a diesel, beef it up a bit, and it could save some fuel. But semis are going to be trying it. I can imagine that all of us will end up with something like that. We're still trying to get ahead of that electric curve before all the electric dragsters and all this electric stuff takes over the world. They're still trying to save their combustion engines any way they can. But it's neat that everybody's innovating. People are coming up with new ideas. And that's what happened in 2008 when we thought the world would end and fuel prices killed us. Everything killed us. $5 a gallon fuel. Now we're complaining about 99-cent fuel. But anyway, it all changes. My 99-cent fuel here close by now went up to $1.33. Boy, am I pissed off.
What?
Yeah, we went up to $1.33. How am I going to survive?
That's interesting. Well, I don't think that the age of the diesel engines, especially in big trucks, or the gas engines, they're not going to end next year, right? This is still going to be at least 10, 20 years into the future. Just look at Ford coming out with a new 7.3, brand new engine. That engine will probably have a 20-year life cycle, right? So I don't think we should worry about electric trucks taking over. But electric trucks are coming, just maybe a little bit delayed, I would say, because Rivian has announced a delay to 2021 because they were hoping to start selling this year at the end of this year. And several other companies have also said, published some delays as well. So I have a question from the email really quick. And once again, guys, at the top of the hour, if you're interested in more car discussion, Roman is also chatting with a lot of other YouTubers, car reviewers on this channel, but you have to switch meetings. You have to go to the next event.
Car guys aren't allowed in the bunker.
No.
Mr. Truck gets ornery when he gets around cars. Did I use that the right way, ornery? Yeah, I'm learning redneck.
Yeah, well, get us some tobacco and chew it on TV. That'd be cool. Get a spit.
I got yelled at for having a cigar in my mouth on the last broadcast. I can't chew some
tobacco. That's why I took mine out.
There's a question from Jay Martin, specifically about the Colorado ZR2. Jay Martin says he lives in New Hampshire, and he's basically wondering whether to buy a 3.6 liter ZR2 or a diesel one. And he says that he would like to have the Bison option, but having a Bison diesel just adds a lot of cost to the truck. So he's wondering, how does the 3.6 liter V6 deal with high elevation? And we've tested actually both engines here.
Yeah, I don't remember that 3.6 being very powerful with the trailer in the mountains. What you probably remember better than I do, Andre.
Well, all I remember, what stands in my mind always when I think about the 3.6 in the truck, first of all, it's very high revving. So it has more of a car characteristic to it, where you have to rev it really high. But once you do, it was very quick truck. One of the quickest, other than the Ford Ranger turbo. These two are basically head to head, the gas V6 Colorado or the turbo Ranger. Very fast truck, can tow really, really well as well, especially at high elevation. Unless, of course, you loaded way to the maximum, over 7,000 pounds. But as an engine, it's currently made it to an 8-speed, so it's not a 10-speed right now.
And that did well in the Ike. I just don't remember. I kept thinking it was one of the slow ones, but if it's.
I don't remember exactly what all the Ike performance was, but what I would say to Jay Martin is, if you want the Bison, I think the gas engine is not a bad option because it makes the truck a little bit lighter. You don't have to carry the diesel weight, right, Nathan?
That's right. I was going to say the Bison weighs noticeably more than the regular ZR2. I mean, is it tungsten, boron, whatever the hell armor that they have on there, all the extra goodies that they have on there.
Yeah, boron. Yeah.
The thing
unobtainium.
is, unobtainium. All that equipment does add weight. And so if you have the diesel on top of it, that thing is really heavy. If sticking with the 3.6 liter V6, it's really powerful. It's quick. Yes, you can't tow as much. And yes, the range, gas mileage, and torque, they're not equivalent, obviously. That's the whole benefit of the diesel. But one of the reasons why, once again, going back to our original topic here, that I think also that diesel is disappearing is because it's so expensive. It is a major price jump to buy that thing. So you get the Bison with the V6, you're saving some money at the end. You have a lighter truck that at least in traffic will dance a little bit happier. I think it's a good combination.
Now hold on there, Bubba Louie. All right, you diesel guys, let's go up and unite. Go out there and buy all the diesel Colorados, all the diesel Canyons. Go try to find a 5-liter V8 in one of those Titans. We got to get the diesel market picked up. We can't lose them. Come on. We fought so long for diesels.
Yeah, but you have all the half tons now, dude. I mean, think about it. You've got the 3 major truck companies have diesels now, proper diesels. All of them are decent. And so that kind of, I think, is better than these midsize trucks that nobody's buying that have diesel engines in them.
Well, there's only one guy that makes that. When GM's the only one that has that little midsize diesel, aren't they?
Well, at least here in the States, but Nissan had been rumored, and we even drove a prototype of a diesel Nissan Frontier, and they were really close, if not damn close, to building one for this market. But I think a lot of people have started getting gun shy thanks to Volkswagen.
Well, we had that in the end of the 70s and beginning of the 80s. We had diesels in Toyota trucks, diesels in Nissan, diesels in Fords, diesels in Isuzus. Everybody had a little diesel there at one time, and they were pretty good engines. But, it was all driven by fuel prices. So, yeah.
Yeah, they smoked terribly. They smelled horrible, and they had absolutely no horsepower. They had decent torque and decent range.
Great fuel mileage, but they just needed turbos. Now they got turbos, so it's a whole new world.
Yeah, but okay.
I nominate Mr. Truck for president, and his running mate should be a diesel engine.
Yes, let's go diesel guys, go.
No, but even this change, if it comes to fruition, right, for the Colorado and the Canyon, we're still talking like 3 years in the future, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's not
2021. I think most of us wanted big change for the midsize GM trucks. We're not going to get it. We're getting some cosmetic changes, some technology changes. There's a Canyon AT4 off-road truck, but the Canyon AT4 is not a true ZR2.
Not even close.
It's more of an all-terrain package that they used to have.
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting this coming year. And so we have to wait. So there's time for diesel engines still, Mr. Truck. So don't lose any sleep yet.
We're going to get rid of all the base models too. So you're going to have to step up one or two, and there goes your payments.
Yes, but that leads to our next rumor that because Nissan Frontier, the upcoming 2021 all-new truck, is going to one engine also.
And one transmission.
Not a turbo, but a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated gas V6 with a 9-speed auto. That truck is going to increase in price dramatically as well.
Come on, does everybody have to copy Ford? What is this? One engine, one transmission. Come on. Get some balls. I mean, let's stand up for something. Be a leader, you guys. Why don't you guys step up, be a leader?
It's about simplification, Mr. Truck, simplifying. But I think, what's happening? I think they're not telling us something. I think maybe Nissan or maybe even GM and others have a hybrid hidden away or some sort of a fancy powertrain option that they're holding still because it's not quite ready, or maybe it's too expensive, and they might introduce it within a couple of years. What do you think?
Nathan, you're talking about the Indy 500. You're pointing at the race car.
I was looking at some of the questions, and I'm just trying to figure out which ones they're talking about. That's a Indy car from the 1970s, late 1970s. This is a Bugatti T55. Sorry, guys, they were asking the question. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's fine. We have another donation from Maui Chris.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chris.
Yeah, we appreciate you watching. For passenger cars and trucks, says Maui, which will be the last to go, the manual transmission or the stinky diesel? Maui, so you're not a diesel fan? I think the manual transmission is probably first to go.
Yeah, stinky diesel. That diesel only smells if it's on your hand.
Yeah, I gotta admit, diesels are so much cleaner than they used to be, to the point to where, you know, if you get an ultra low sulfur diesel with DEF and everything else, you're producing, you know, less toxins than a leaf blower. It's ridiculous. It's impressive what these new trucks can do.
Oh yeah, they've done really well, and that's why I don't want to lose any more diesels. We can't lose a bunch more. Goodness gracious, I'm still mourning from the Titan Cummins V8. It's sad. It's sad.
You know, I'm sorry. I think they wasted an opportunity with that truck, to be honest with you. That shit, was it 555 pound-feet of torque? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
It should have been about 750 pound-feet of torque. Boom.
Yeah, and it should have been a 3/4 ton. What is this mid, whatever the hell they call it? In between.
Mid. Yeah.
You want a real truck, not an in between.
Well, they had the frame. They had almost the engine. They just didn't have the axles. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't know why you didn't yell at them.
Compete. Yes. There's only 3 in that big class now. What is there? 10 in the mid-size class, and yeah, way too many trucks. 5 in the full size. No, they could jump right in that big heavy duty one, but no.
Send your complaints to Fred Diaz, care of Nissan.
Yes. Is he still there?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's head of Mitsubishi now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He's no longer with the other guy.
So a couple comments. So first of all, Fabulous Off-Road Design says, well, what about the factory tune and the factory leveling kit from Ford on the Ranger? We already touched on this. And I believe our buddy Dan Atkinson does have a leveling kit on his Ranger, which I think is really cool.
Lift, yeah.
And it includes Fox shocks, which I think is really interesting as well, which is a factory approved option.
Looks good.
I think Ford needs to do more of this. I know they have an F-150 leveling kit. Yeah. I think they need to support their Super Duty customers a little bit more, with some more customization, because we're building up the F-250 truck right now, which is at Carly Suspension. But I couldn't really go to Ford and say, give me some Super Duty performance parts, from your catalog. It wasn't really available. So I think they can do a lot more with their performance catalog and maybe make some more money that way.
Yeah, Ford wants you to buy what they have, like the trimmer. They don't want you to buy somebody else's stuff. That's why all these guys went to the running boards, the brake controllers, the fancy tailgates. They don't want you to buy them from the aftermarket. They want you to buy it from them. And then you can get all the warranty and the factory finance on all of it. Yeah, there's a plan behind this. I see him at SEMA, walk around taking notes, taking pictures of everything at SEMA. All that good aftermarket stuff. It'll show up on a truck in 2 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, they need to take basically a page out of Jeep's playbook, FCA's playbook. Because if you think about anybody else who's out there who has performance products coming right from the factory, FCA's got it. They've been doing it for a while now, and they're doing it well. Not only for Jeep, which is obvious, but also for Ram trucks and their heavy-duty trucks. They have it all. And if they ever come out with any other trucks, let's say a mid-size truck, I guarantee you right out of the box, they'll have a whole bunch of stuff for that as well. Ford has a really unique truck. They've got the Ranger, and it just doesn't have a lot of stuff that you can get from Ford to slap onto it. And people want to do that. Yes, the tune is awesome, and they've got these new things, which are great, but they need more. And I agree with Andre. They need to do stuff for their heavy-duty truck if they're going to hit the off-roading world with the Tremor. Why not have, different types of suspension setups that you can get directly from them and slap it on there. Why not have different tire and wheel combinations, different things for the bed, different types of setups on the interior, lighting packages, all these things. They don't have very much of that, and they really need it.
Well, sure. Look at what Ram does and Dodge. We all know what Mopar is. Mopar is aftermarket. What's the name for Ford? What's the name for GM? Can you remember? Is it FMCO or whatever? I mean, they got a cool name, and they promote that name. Mopar is promoted.
That's right. And Jeep Performance Parts, which sort of is a subsection of Mopar, it's brilliant because it's all coming back in-house. This is all money that's on top of money. They buy these components from the same people who build them, who are selling them separately, and they make their own profit on them. They throw a little tiny bit of a warranty on them. Half this stuff is going to last probably past the warranty. They're set, and at the same time, they make a ton of money off of it. And it just seems like GM should be doing this too. Frankly, so should Nissan and Toyota. But at least with Toyota, they did some of that stuff, like aftermarket superchargers and stuff that they built and sold in-house. That was cool. I wish they would do that again.
Yeah, look, that's the name, Mopar. But look at even like Ram trucks. What's their off-road package called? Off-road package.
Rebel.
Well, that's a brand of, that's one of their lines. But why would you call a truck off-road package or off-road truck? But Mopar is marketing. They got to learn marketing.
Yeah, they should be the Honey Badger package, right?
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So we missed a donation, boys. I apologize. Luco 1234 had $2 donation. Thank you, Luco.
That's not the chicken.
Luco was asking, when is your next Dude I Love or Hate My New Ride upload coming? Well, we have a lot in store over this weekend. So if you haven't seen some of the videos, the home editions, what we're doing is we've asked you guys, our viewers, to submit your own trucks. A little walk-arounds. Maybe you have a really old truck with a lot of miles, or a new truck with a lot of accessories, or something in between, something interesting. You sent us a lot of different videos. We're publishing them. We're going through them. We're picking up the most high mileage trucks, the most interesting trucks. We're going to publish a video on truck YouTube channel, TFL Truck, this weekend. Tomorrow, in fact, that's a Toyota video that has to do with Toyota trucks. We're doing another one on TFL Off-Road channel where Stephen Elmer, our off-road genius, he also has some trucks from overseas coming tomorrow. Specifically the Ford Ranger Raptor. There's a
cool.
nice video about that. So we're still doing that, and TFL Car and TFL Now, we're also going to do a couple of videos there. But we have like at least 200 trucks submitted, maybe more.
Wow.
Andre, I'm sorry, but we just had a new one that just hit on TFL Classics, and it's a really good one. It's the Ford, an older Ford, first generation Ford Ranger, and also a first generation Chevy S10. And that's on TFL Classics. Tommy put that one together with two of them, and that I think came out today.
Well, that'd be cool. I can't remember what year the first Ranger was. I think I had one, but we should do a home edition of paint guns, those paintball things. Come out here in 4 acres and chase each other around and black. That'd be a home edition video right there.
I'll tell you what.
Only if we wear shields.
Yes, I got shield. I got gloves. I got masks.
Andre, you bring your Hummer. I'll bring my Suzuki.
Dude.
The drive-bys. You guys drive by and we'll shoot you.
I am so much more maneuverable than Andre. It'll be ridiculous.
So a lot of people also asked me to do an update on the Hummer H2.
Yeah.
So I did one, and we're going to publish it next week. So not this weekend, but it's coming. But Nathan, I think a lot of people asked for a Suzuki update. So will you be able to do that in the coming weeks?
Every time I think about going out there and shooting something, it's raining or snowing. Colorado's weird right now. Every time I have a moment to actually do it, it's weird. So I'm hoping to do it within the next couple weeks. It'll probably be after Andre's. I've done some major mechanical updates to it that aren't that visible, but there are a few things. Maybe I'll even throw in some slides of some new things, brake suspension, stuff like that. But yeah, I'll show you guys around. So in a couple weeks.
And Mr. Truck, when are you putting that 6-inch lift on your F-150?
Oh, probably never. I've thought about getting that front thing, that new kit that they had that raises the front and levels it out. But I tow most of the time, and I've talked to several people who put those on because I was trying to sneak one out of Ford, and they make it ride rougher. And I go, I'm an old man. I cannot ride rougher. No, none of that stuff. I want smooth. I want silky smooth, like the old station wagons where you just kind of floated, the Cadillacs. And just, I want to float
and
when I
that
ride.
kind
No,
of
I
reminds me of a
not want to
question.
make it stiffer.
It reminds me of a question we received on Ask at TFL Truck. We will also have a lot of questions, obviously, still coming in. So thank you very much, guys, for sending those in. And we'll be doing a better job of answering them on the website as well, tfltruck.com. This question is from Fly Fanatic Lou. And Fly Fanatic Lou is asking, he basically would like to buy a brand new Ram 1500 truck, the latest DT generation. And he has a question about the rear diff. Basically, he's looking at a Rebel, but he also knows that they're available with the V6. So not just the V8, not just the Hemi-powered Rebels. And he's looking at a couple of different, either fuel mileage minded rear differential or the 392, for pulling stumps. And he's wondering if he can buy one, like a fuel mileage one, and then swap out a different, change his differential maybe a year down the line. So what do you guys think about this?
Does he pull a lot of stumps?
No.
Well, he's not pulling trailers right there. Forget the 392. I mean, that's my favorite rear end, but yeah.
He's towing, he doesn't tow a lot. So he's towing a trailer up to about 4,000 pounds, he says, or even a smaller trailer. I've been thinking about this, actually changing your rear differential ratio, but it's difficult to do. It can affect your warranty if you're doing it on a brand new truck and somebody notices that you opened up your diff or something else has happened. But I would say only change your differential ratio if like you gave your truck a lift or bigger tires. If you did something to your truck that affects its performance and you lost performance or lost, speed or whatever, only try to do it then. Don't like preempt it. Don't do it early.
Yeah, if it's a four-wheel drive, that's 2 axles. Does he have a 4-wheel drive? Because you got to do it twice.
Yeah. That's the other point, and it can be pricey.
Yes.
I say go 410. You're fine. Everything's fine. Just do it. That's what I like.
What? They don't make it 410. They don't, not in a half ton. It doesn't exist.
No, but you can do whatever you want. If you
That's what I'm saying. Do what you want.
No.
You can do anything.
10 miles to a gallon.
I knew that would get a rise out of Mr. Truck.
No, I would say go for a 430. Why
430? No, we're talking about 331 or something. One of those weird numbers. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, before we go on, I wanted to let a couple people know that there's something really big that's coming up on TFL Truck. I mean, really big. This has been all hands on deck putting this together. And this is going to be called May Truck Madness. And Andre, do we already have some of the promos up on that?
No, we don't quite have it. We're going to start promoting Truck Madness next week.
Truck Madness, we're not going to tell you that much about it, but stay tuned for it. Keep your eyes out for it because it's going to be big and it's going to absolutely floor you guys because your month of May is going to be insane. That's all I want to say. Please continue.
Was this that one where we asked strippers what trucks they own?
Yes, you're on it. Exactly.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Candy Cane Luann, she said that she really likes the Jeep Gladiator.
Oh, cool. She had an excursion lifted, but now she's going to get a Gladiator.
Oh, she does. Okay, I'm sorry. Andre, you might want to.
Well, it's going to be madness. We cannot disclose more right now, but it's something fun, because usually, me, I like talking about brake applications and, fuel economy numbers. and this is going to be a little bit more just entertainment oriented.
Well,
So it's going to be huge.
the best part of this is that this is participation with you guys. This is directly made for you, all of you viewers, to work with. And that's why I really wanted to get it out there. Just a little tiny buzz. There'll be bigger buzz, and then it's going to happen. So just wanted to throw that out there. Please continue.
Yeah, so we have a couple of other questions here. And before that, oh yeah, I wanted to touch on this question that came in a little while ago on the super chat, where somebody was asking any news about the Toyota Tacoma changing. So we just discussed, right, the rumor about the GM midsize trucks. We talked about a little bit about Nissan Frontier. We talked a lot about the Ranger, potential, accessories, etc., etc. But what is Toyota doing? So Toyota is not likely to update their Tundra in a big way in the next 2 to 3 years. They're working on the Tundra right now that should come out next year. And they are announced in Chicago. Remember these guys? Their adventure and then their night packages for 2021. So they're having minor updates to their trucks, but nothing major. But this week also there was a rumor about the updated Toyota Hilux, which is really cool.
Was that coming over here now? Because that was not available here, but they're probably going to do new headlights again. They like those new headlights.
That's more than that.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
Hilux is not coming here, but what is coming here is we received a really good "Do I Love My Ride" video from Malaysia, and Simon there in Malaysia showed us his Hilux, which was a brand new truck, and that video is coming to TFL Now, this channel, this weekend.
Wow.
So I'm getting more fond of the Hilux. I saw them in Australia. I saw them in some other places. It's not coming to the US technically, but it's really cool.
They had one at SEMA a couple of years ago. I think the Hilux was the very first Toyota truck that came to the US.
Yeah, at first it did. Yeah. There was a Hilux that was here for just a really brief amount of time. And when we started switching over to building vehicles, chicken chacks and everything else, that was gone. And we started in with our own Toyota trucks that we started building. But here's the interesting part that I heard. Toyota is considering having a unified frame that's going throughout their entire network of trucks. That is modular, that can be put in everything from the Hilux and the Tacoma and the Tundra and the 4Runner and like pretty much everything they've got. So it's based on the same architecture. It just shrinks and widens and, is sort of flexible in that respect. And that's the rumor that we're hearing, but there's nothing concrete on it.
Yeah, and a couple of other comments. And Nathan, there's a question for you that we can get to in a couple of minutes. But a couple of comments here are, first of all, is the Toyota TRD Pro package worth the money over TRD off-road? I think that's a really good question. And it's kind of a question that hits to some other brands as well. Like, is a Jeep Rubicon worth the money over a non-Rubicon? And I think TRD Pro, let's just list really quick, what does it give you, right? So a little bit of a suspension lift, usually in the Tacoma and the Tundra, although I wish they would give it more of a lift. It's usually a little bit of a leveling kit. You have special shocks, so special suspension tuning as well. You have extra skid plates, and then cosmetics, right? So grills, wheels, tires, interiors. So normally I would say, and let's see if you guys agree with me, okay? Normally I would say TRD Pro is only worth the money if you're not going to be modifying your Toyota truck much. But if you want to modify it, maybe just save your money and just buy an off-road and then go somewhere else.
Actually, Andre, that's a really good way of looking at it. And I agree with you, because if you're someone who doesn't want to go through all the modifications and you want a really good truck out of the box, the TRD Pro is a pretty smart bet. But I still say change the damn tires. I really do not like those tires for off-roading. But if you're thinking about doing some mods, a little bit of a lift, some extra things here and there, then the off-road makes plenty of sense. I would buy the off-road. I just don't understand the extra expense for the TRD Pro. It's just too much in my book, especially because you get 95% of the ability out of the off-road package. And for me, that's more than adequate.
Yeah, the Tacoma has more. The TDR Pro there actually means something compared to, say, the Sequoia or the Tundra. I mean, you got a lot more stuff on there. It's a real thing. But like the cold air intake and that dry air snorkel thing, is that part of this Tacoma package, or does all the TRD Pros have that?
It's on the Pro specifically. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, not both the other models, the Tundra, the Sequoia, all that stuff. Does only the Tundra have the cold air intake and the snorkel?
Not
the Tacoma.
Not as of right now.
In the Tacoma, yeah.
But you can get that and slap it onto, a number of other things. I've seen people already put something just like it onto a 4Runner. So
yeah, 4Runner's pretty good off-road truck. That makes sense there. Yeah.
But going back to it, the TRD Pro, if you don't want to screw with it, you want it really good out of the box with some extra goodies, and you want everybody to know that you have a really good truck, TRD Pro makes sense. But if you want to modify it, I completely agree with Andre. It makes total sense that you'd get the much less expensive off-road, and then you can go from there and really build up that truck.
Yeah, the Tundra, the TRD Pro exhaust on that is really cool. That V8 rumble, I love the sound of that.
Yeah, I got to admit, the Tundra is probably the best sounding truck out there when it has that exhaust package. Currently, it just sounds amazing.
Is that your new truck, Andre, in a bookcase, that Mack? Is that your next truck you're going to buy, that Mack tractor?
Well, yes. This is the Mack truck Lego set that we actually, a couple of years ago, Lego actually sent out this in conjunction with Mack.
Oh,
and
yeah.
My son and I, we put this together, and it has a trailer, which is kind of a container carrier. So it's kind of like one of those cranes that can actually shift its own containers.
Yeah. I've seen that. Now, is that, tell me this, because you're getting your CDL, is that a bobcat or is that a bobtail on a tractor like that?
I think it's a kitty cat.
You're going to flunk your next CDL if you tell them it's a bobcat.
I know. I like cats in general.
Yeah, you do.
But Nathan, Ron Smith had a question. He wanted to know, how's your Mini Cooper doing?
Oh, we're not driving it that much right now. It made it through the winter like a champ. Really good all-wheel drive system, and my wife has been driving it so fast there's little vapor trails coming off of it. She's been going sideways around corners. She loves rally driving as it is, and so it's pretty insane with the amount of driving that she's done in a limited amount of time. But once again, it made it through the winter, no problem. And then with the current situation, well, we're not driving it very much. So yeah, it's been fine so far. We put on about 10,000 miles and not a hiccup so far. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'd be really happy if I can go a couple years without any major repair, but that probably won't happen. So
Is it pretty fast still?
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
So it has a working pistons. Pistons go up and down.
Wow.
That is pretty cool.
How long did it take you and your son to build that? That looks like about a 2-year project for me.
Well, no, it took, this was during like a winter break. It took us like several days, like working several hours per day.
Wow.
So it was a pretty serious thing.
All right. Well, Andre, if you look at the time, I think we're going to have to boil this down.
Yeah. So thank you for your questions. I think there's at least one other item, but guys, as we said before, Roman and maybe even Tommy, somebody was asking about where's Tommy. Like we said, Tommy's on TFL Classics. He's on TFL Car. He's basically everywhere. And we're working remotely, most of us still. Roman and Tommy usually do some stuff from our office because they live together as well. And then all of us come into the office rarely because we don't want to be all at the same time in the same office.
We rotate.
And then Tommy and Roman are doing a live show on this channel, but not on the same event. You have to click out of this one and join their event that's happening in 4 minutes. I can't wait. Oh, Mr. Truck has a Truck Nuts book.
Oh, this is a book that Andre wrote. Wow. I helped him a little bit on, yeah.
Mr. Truck, oh, come on.
Something to read when you're in your confinement area.
Mr. Truck, you're too modest. You're way too modest. By the way, we have a chapter from Nathan in this book.
Yes. And Roman said something in there too. I don't know if he wrote a foreword or what he did. But maybe
He yelled at Andre to fix something.
All right, guys.
So guys, in just a minute on this same TFL Now channel, you're going to hear from Roman and hopefully Tommy. They're going to be talking to the guys from Alex and Autos, Redline, and Engineering Explained. I highly recommend checking it out because they'll be able to look at your questions as well, hopefully, and answer a few things. But most importantly, it's going to be entertaining. Roman has a brand new haircut for this.
Oh, wow. Did Tommy give him the haircut?
I think they used a Flowbee.
I see. And thank you guys. We're signing off. And
oh,
Tim
wow.
Lebedev,
Mo. Is it a Mo haircut? Mo.
And Tim Lebedev wants me to say something in Russian. So, Tim, спасибо большое, что вы смотрели это шоу. До свидания. We'll see you next week. Once again, 3 p.m. Mountain and 5 p.m. Eastern, Mondays and Fridays.
And after you watch Roman's show, go to MrTruck.com.
Are you doing another live show?
No, I don't do live shows. That's complicated. That's all you brainheads, man.
All right. So we're gonna cut this show, and before 2 live shows merge and the time space ends, we need to stop this.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much.